Chiefs, Texans. I'm going to say this. Kansas City at home, that's almost a layup, especially when you look at somebody like the Texans going on the road. I think Kansas City takes them. What do you think?
And it's a dome team playing outside. I don't know how cold it's predicted to be yet, Pete, in Kansas City, but obviously they're rested because they had the bye, and they're playing outside at home versus a team that, quite frankly, we all thought they'd be even better this year than they were last year. They're not. They're good, but they're not better. Obviously, a lot of us thought maybe they'd look like the Commanders or the Commies, as I like to call them. I thought they might look as good as the Commies. Quite frankly, I think Texans lose to the Commies pretty bad. But
let me tell you something. The Texans, I think they're going to be in for a totally different game against Patrick Mahomes and that team. And the thing that people don't accept all year was, well, the offense isn't all that good this year for Kansas City. Okay, maybe not, but the defense is damn good. Defense is one of the best defenses in all of football. So I think that's why, and the stadium, I think all of that plays into it. How about the Bills-Ravens? Now that's going to be a pretty decent game, right? I mean, you've got two great quarterbacks, two great running backs. You got great receivers. The defenses are both good, but not great. The Ravens used to be the best defense in football year after year after year. They're not this year, but they're still pretty damn good. But I kind of think that the way Josh Allen's playing, John, I don't know. As long as he can stay healthy in the game, I think that the Buffalo Bills win this game. What about you?
I'm the same way. I'm terribly impressed with Lamar Jackson all the time, Pete.
Yep.
He's a field general. He puts his body at risk just like Josh does, but Josh has a much bigger body. Josh, when he's running, it's more like, like Laporta, the tight end from Detroit. They're both about the same size, Pete. I mean, Josh Allen is a big dude. I was with him at the Masters last year, and his thighs, he was in a pair of shorts, Pete. That kid's got big legs. He's not like one of these skinny mini guys. He is a big, strong kid. I give the edge to him, although Buffalo's got to find an answer for the king, Pete, because if they can just slam that guy at Buffalo, it keeps the ball away from Josh Allen. So if they could run like they did, obviously but it's Pittsburgh, and TJ Watt didn't have his greatest game. And Pittsburgh's defense isn't as good as the Bills, in my opinion, Pete.
Right.
So
no, I agree.
But he had like 180 yards.
They only rushed for 300 in the game, John. The Ravens. They had 300 yards rushing. King Henry, as you called him, Derrick Henry. That guy is a freak show, and everybody in the NFL is going to have figure out that actually the running game really does matter, because just about every team that we're mentioning right now in the playoffs has a good running back and a good running game. Nobody as good as Baltimore, which makes them damn scary, in my opinion. All right, Lions, Commanders, John. Lions, well, they got a couple of running backs, I think, that do pretty well, particularly Gibbs, not so shabby. Jaden Daniels has been spectacular. He's probably the best rookie quarterback that we've ever seen, quite frankly, I think. Wasn't Marino his first year? Did he not go to the Super Bowl, though, John? Dan Marino, I think. I think
so, Pete.
And never went back. I don't know that he ever made it back to the Super Bowl. We thought, well, they're going to go for 5. But in any case, Jaden Daniels, all he does, John, is throw the ball with incredibly high percentage, which is impressive. And in his first playoff game, he had 0 interceptions. That guy's got ice going through his veins, and they're a pretty interesting team. But they're not going to beat the Lions, I don't think. I think the Lions are just amazing, even with all the guys that are hurt on their defense.
Yeah, you didn't notice it against the Vikings, that's for sure. They didn't need, the fact that they had 11 guys on IR from the defense alone says a lot. I think you're right that I really like the Commanders, but you played Tampa Bay to a tie, really, and you won. You deserve to win. You won, but I don't think Tampa Bay is the Detroit Lions. I think that crowd is going to be deafening. They're coming off the a bye, and I think, Pete, they're going to be ready to play some football.
Yep. You said it too on the how loud it was. Everybody that I've talked to that came back after the Minnesota Lions game that was the week before, they all just said it was deafening. They literally walked out of there like their ears were ringing when they left because it was so freaking loud out there. And the Vikings owners thought it was a big deal to buy $2 million worth of tickets, to go in there. It's like, okay, the 2,000 tickets you bought really don't mean much in that stadium because the rest of them are wearing Honolulu blue and silver. All right. How about this one? Eagles-Rams, John. Now, what happens in this game? Rams are going to have to go on the road, right? They get out there to Philadelphia. Philadelphia has a pretty good running game themselves. I keep bringing this up because it's the running game that matters. It's not about all these receivers. And Shaquan, your guy, is phenomenal. I'm not so sure about Hurts. I can't figure that guy out. He can look great sometimes, and then he just kind of tucks away and he falls away, and we don't know where he is. But I still think that the Eagles, because of their defense is that good that they can be a game changer. And the Rams have a damn good defense as well. But I'll tell you what, I think Philadelphia's defense and their running game is the reason Philadelphia wins this game.
Well, here's where we differ. I think Stafford is playing at the highest level I've seen him play. I mean, whether it was the pure passing overhead throws like that, Pete, or whether it was he had to sling it sideways, which he did on that second touchdown, I think, that he threw. Might have been the first, but first or second touchdown, he rolled left, looked for a guy, had him, and then decided, nope, and he quick whipped it sidearm and drilled it right into the guy's hands. I think he's playing really, really well. And their defense, you already said it, their defense is a bunch of young, hungry guys. I'm not saying Philly isn't. Philly's great. But if you can score like they've been scoring, the Rams, that's the one thing you worry about with Philly. Can they get it done in terms of if it gets into a 25 or 30-point game, I give it all to the Rams. I don't think Philly's going to put up those kind of – if it's a 20-17 game, can Philly grind it out and win it? Yeah. But whoever wins it ain't beating Detroit anyway.
No, I agree with that for sure. We agree on that one. All right, John. Secondly, we got another little topic I thought would be kind of fun. It's right in your world. Chicago Bears. They've interviewed Ron Rivera, great friend of ours, our brother Paul's roommate in college at Cal Berkeley. They were the bookend outside linebackers and the whole deal, right? So he was interviewed. You know who they really have an itch for, though? Marcus Freeman.
Oh, really?
Marcus Freeman. They want the Notre Dame coach to come to the Chicago Bears. That's the word on the street. Now, Pete Carroll wants the job, but are they going to give it to a guy who's in his 70s? I don't know. Maybe. Pete always has had that youthful side to him, California guy and all that kind of stuff. But I'll tell you what, John, here's why I ask, because he's making a little over $6 million, actually almost $7 million a year at Notre Dame, which in the big scheme of things is a bargain for Notre Dame because there's a hell of a lot of coach. Kirby Smart, you know what he makes? He's the highest paid. $13.5 million a year, Kirby Smart. So I'm thinking this. Marcus Freeman did just sign a new extension not long ago. There's no release on what it is, but I'll say it's at least north of $10 million a year. But here's the other side of it. Let's say you get $11 million offered to you at Notre Dame and $12 million to come coach the Bears. Who do you go with? Because I know where I'm going. I'm going right back to Notre Dame, and I'm going to keep on playing college football and being that guy who kind of guides these guys. The NFL is a league that we already know, John. Look how many guys got dropped in 1 year, right? I mean, then what do? Do you got to recycle back and try to figure out college football? Do you go somewhere else in the NFL? Or if you're Marcus Freeman, do you stay at Notre Dame for the next 10 years and go, hey, I'm loving life. I've got one of the greatest jobs in the world of college football, right?
Yep. It's a recruiter's dream, Notre Dame is. And obviously they get some fantastic players. I would do it the same way you're doing it, Pete. If it were me, if I'm Marcus Freeman, I stay at Notre Dame. I can't spend that money. I cannot spend that money in South Bend, Indiana, or any of the nearby areas. You can't spend it. So for quality of life for him and his family, and I think, Pete, he has at least 4 kids. He might have 6.
I think he might have 6 or 7.
So a lot better there than up in Chicago, in my opinion. So from a family standpoint, and the money is going to be about the same. Now, also, even the McCaskies, it was said about the Hallises, but they throw around nickels like they're manhole covers. So don't look for them to come up with a $15 million, 7-year contract or whatever, 15 mil a year for 7 years, because that's what I think it's going to take to wriggle him out of Notre Dame, Pete. Because again, quality of life, living in Chicago. He's not going to live in the city, of course, because the Bears practice up in the north side. So at least his family would be going to good schools and it's safer. But it's not a competition for me. I would stay at Notre Dame unless they just gave you stupid money. And then I'd say, well, I hope they do the same thing that did to Eberflus and fire me after 3 years and I'll collect all this money. But I know that's not who Marcus Freeman is, Pete. He's not that guy. And he loves his young players and he loves God. He talks about it all the time. And that the loving God part doesn't play so well in the NFL sometimes, if you know what I mean.
Right. And he converted to become a Catholic since he's been the coach at Notre Dame there, which is pretty interesting as well. I mean, he's a special guy. But I'll say this, if I'm a college coach and I'm making, give or take, let's say it's $7 to $10 million a year, and I get offered a little bit more money, but I'm going to be in the NFL where it is not for long, let me tell you, I'm okay with college. I don't see, I really don't see the benefits that I have going to the NFL versus being in college. I don't think it's a huge jump to the upside. Matter of fact, I think it's more sideways to down to go to the NFL, quite frankly. I think college football it's a much different sport, and people love it, and you've got your fans, and you've got the monster stadiums and all the things that go with it. And oftentimes it's in towns that are towns, not huge cities. And because of that, it makes it a lot different experience, I think, for a lot of these guys. And the longevity. I think that says it all.
Yep. Well, if you agree with Pete, text him or go on X. Go on X and hit up at PETENAJARIAN. Hit up Pete NAJARIAN and tell him, I agree, Pete. I'd stay if I'm Marcus Freeman. I'd stay at Notre Dame. Or you're crazy. I got one of the best young quarterbacks who all I got to do is get some offensive line around him, and the kid's going to be a world beater. And I could win 2 or 3 Super Bowls and be a legend like Lombardi. So let us know which way you want to go with that, folks. At Pete NAJARIAN on Twitter. And we'll put up a poll and see what you say. All right. We'll be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Have a great one, everybody.